Hey guys, Andy here, and today we're going to go over PHP in one video. This is going to be the finale of the web series that we're doing. If you've seen the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript stuff, this is the finale. This is where we learn how to work with databases and all sorts of things on the back end. I'm excited. I started learning this in high school, so if I can pick this up in high school, like 20 years ago or so, then you can too. Okay, so what does PHP stand for? It stands for PHP Hypertext Preprocessor. PHP has PHP in the acronym. It's kind of stupid, in my opinion, but that is what it stands for. You need it to interact with things on the back end. So if you want to do more complex things like interact with databases, use Stripe payments, have a file system where you can upload files, that's what you need it for. Now, I like PHP because it's more mature. It's been around forever. And we did do a series using Node.js back then, but it's kind of gone out of date. And that's the nice thing about PHP is it's so mature. It's not going to go out of date. And then you'll learn the fundamental concepts really quickly too. And some sites that have been built with PHP are Facebook, Wikipedia, and then WordPress is built on top of PHP. So what the goal is to have you learn the fundamentals of web development. After this video, if you've seen the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript videos, combined with this one, you should know everything about web development, and you should be able to build your own websites. And then you can move on to more complex stuff in terms of coding. This is a great, starter for that. So, we want you to learn the fundamentals. We have a link, for you to download the code, watch the video and read the code. And then after you finish watching the video and you've read the code, I'd suggest you retype all the code out just so you get it in your brain. And then after you've learned all of this, you can go out and start, building personal projects, build all the websites you want. If you want to build, more intensive, like larger applications, you can start learning frameworks like Laravel, or you can move over to things like, Django with Python, and build more secure and scalable sites. But this will be a good foundation. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, we're going to start off with the PHP syntax, and before we get started on that, you're going to have to download, if you're using Windows, either XAMPP, or if you're using Mac, MAMP, and they're both free tools. They're both free servers. If you're doing backend code, you need a server to kind of run things, and it'll include your database server, which will have your database. You can see it's MariaDB on here, which is pretty much MySQL. And then, it Apache's the server, and that's it. You'll be able to run, your PHP code, serve up the HTML, files or your web files, and interact with the database through that. So once you've, installed that, if you go to your applications, and there'll be a folder there. Now your PHP code will go in this folder called htdocs. That's where all the code goes. That's where you put your code. So so just letting you know that. And if you get stuck at all, or if you have questions, or anything like that, or you have to look anything else, I'd recommend, there's this site W3 Schools that has all this stuff on PHP. You could also use ChatGPT. Stack Overflow was big, too. I like Stack Overflow. Developers always get stuck, and they have to fix things. So there's tons of documentation out there for help. Now let's go over the, once you open MAMP, you start it. You click that. It'll take you to this page, and then you can just delete all of that and then navigate to the code. So we're going to start off with the syntax. Now, if you're writing code, you can think of the syntax as like, learning the alphabet, and learning the basic like grammatical structure. That's it. Before you can write, poems or books, you have to learn how to write sentences, and learn the basics. So without further ado, let's start. Okay, so that you can see up here, this is a single line comment. Comments, this is a multi-line comment. Comments, when you're writing code, there's other people reading your code, or you're going to go back and read your code, and you want comments just so you can see what a certain section of code means, what you did kind of there. It makes your code more readable. They're kind of notes that you have. So this note is data types, and there's different kinds of data types. There's integers, there's floats. So an integer is like without the decimal. A float is it has the decimal. There's strings. These are just characters, strings of characters, words. There's booleans. Booleans are true or false. There's arrays. Arrays are they hold multiple values, so you can hold multiple strings. I could add like ints in there, integers. I can mix it up. This null value, it just means nothing, so there's nothing there. And then finally, this constant, you can actually change these are called variables here. So this int x, I'm assigning it to 20. I can create like int r, int t. I can just do big or something like that. Declaring a variable, you just had the little $sign in front of that. But I'm telling you this now is because you can change the value of the integers. I can do like int x equals 4, and now it's 4 now. When I do this define constant, I'm setting this pretty much constant name to this value. However, because it's a constant, I can't change it afterwards. So that's it. So if I try to do like constant name equals 3.14, it'll give me an error because it's a constant. Now, these are classes. Now, classes, people typically talk about classes like, oh, it's like an object, Well, yeah, it is an object, but it's like, think of this as this. An object, it's a class, it's just, you can think of it as a folder of variables called attributes and functions called methods, It's just a folder to hold things to kind of organize your code. So we can here class, dog name. This is what makes it an object. The public stuff, that makes it kind of global there, but this is how you do it. This is where you declare your attributes here. And then this constructor, you need this everywhere. You can see we pass that there, we pass that there, we pass that there, this, that, that. But it pretty much binds like the variables like to this particular object. That's what it's doing. So here we can see the object Fido. So Fido becomes name, golden retriever becomes breed, yellow becomes color. So this one is 3 attributes, name, breed, and color. It's a dog. And then it has a function down here called identify. That should be identify. So the function just, it says, it returns my name is dot. The dot is if you want to So you can add numbers together, like 4 plus 4, but if you want it, you can't add like a string of text, like hi plus there. That won't work in PHP. So in order to concatenate strings of text together, you have to put a dot there. Just letting you know. So yeah, this says hi, this dot name, this referring to the class. So hi name, I am this dot breed with this dot color coat. So that's it. So that's our little dog function, or a dog object. We have it with 3 attributes and 1 function, and we'll learn more about this in a second. And once you have your little class, your little folder with things to kind of classify an object, then you create an instance of the object. So Fido, this variable Fido, is a new dog object. It's a new dog, and we're giving it the name of Fido. We're giving it the breed of golden retriever, and we're giving it the color, the coat of yellow. So that is really data types. You can also, there's something called data type casting, and that just means you change one data type into another. So if we don't want this to be 30, we want it to be 30. See, it's instead of a number, it's text now. We do this, casted, and then we put the what we want to cast it to in front of the thing. And you can see that's how we change 30, the number, to 30, just text. Now, that's the basic things on variables. Okay, it's probably a lot, but now we're going to get into more fun stuff, in my opinion. That's the basic syntax. But notice how in the past, you'll notice that this is HTML. So if you want to create a PHP file, so if you want to do like index.html is the same. But you've noticed how we've done this in the past. Well, it's the same thing. PHP reads HTML, so that it pretty much treats them the same. You just need a server to run the PHP. So PHP will read this like perfectly fine, and then send it to the server. I just want to give you word out. Now, when you want to actually add PHP code, just like how you have this, HTML tag, you need a PHP tag. You can see the start of the PHP tag up here, and the end of the PHP tag down here. And I love PHP. It makes it so much fun writing stuff because you can just write PHP code anywhere in the HTML, anywhere you want. Now, this has also given PHP a pretty bad reputation in terms of developers because it can be very hard to read. If you're constantly mixing up HTML code and PHP code, you can imagine it's a nightmare. And that's why people often call PHP code spaghetti code. It looks like a disaster. It looks like spaghetti. So you can see we have our data types up there. And then down here we have our HTML. We're opening up another PHP tag in here. And that's where we got this. So echo is kind of like the print function. So if you've seen like Python, you've seen like print this out. Echo prints it out here. So you can see echoing. You can echo HTML. So see, I'm echoing a header, data types. I'm echoing a break, a line break. And then I can add the PHP code. So int equals dot concat. So concatenating the text, the int, and I'm just doing this for all the different values. And then you can see down here, which is cool, object. So that's referencing our object, but I'm actually calling the identity indentity. I don't know why I wrote indentity there. identify. Should say identify. But you can see I'm calling the identify function. See, Fido, identify. And you can see here it says my name is Fido. I'm a golden retriever with a yellow coat. And that's it. Now, so that's our data types. So now let's get into methods. So we've talked about objects before and how they have the attributes, variables, and then the methods, the functions. Well, the data types are actually built-in objects. So they each have their own methods. So for example, like the string, I'm not going hello world, they have like string length. How long is the string? Hello world, 12 characters. Word count, string word count. How many words are in there? Hello world, 2 words. String contains, I love PHP. Does it contain love? And it gives you back a 1 there. 1 means, yeah, it does. 0 would mean it wouldn't. You can replace things since, so we want to replace world with PHP and hello world, hello PHP. You can make things lowercase. Same thing, there's also array methods. We talked about up here how array just holds a bunch of different things. So you can have like an array of strings, array of floats, array of ints, array of booleans, array of everything. And you can mix it up too. It doesn't have to be just strings. So you can see in here, this implode here, I'm really just using that because I want to print it out on here, and pretty much allows me to do that. But you can do count, so implode, it's pretty much allowing me to print it out here. It's more complex than that, but first, a simple way is to view it that way. But you can see count, there's 3 things in the array. In array 2, it's showing you, it's there. Array.push, that means you add something on the array. Array.pop, you take it out. Shift it, you move it over. Unshift, you move it over. You can search in there. And yeah, there's different array methods. I will want to say this. Yeah, it's fine. We'll move on for now. There's also, you can do math in PHP. Absolute value of -5. You can find the exponent 2 to the power of 3 is 8, square root of 16, rounding it. You can see it all here. What's kind of weird in here? Random number. Min, finding the minimum. Max, maximum. Addition, subtract, multiply, divide. This is modulus. This is find the remainder of something. That's what it means. So the remainder, if we divide 10 by 3, 9 divided by 3, you can do that. But with 10, there'll be a remainder of 1. So you can see that there. This is also power, so 2 to the 3rd. So that's 8. Okay, continuing on conditional statements. Conditional statements are like if-else statements. So if int x, this thing, 20 is greater than 10, echo, x is greater than 10. Now you can do else if it equals 10, do that, otherwise else do that. And then you can include multiple else if statements in there too. But it's pretty much, evaluating that instruction. 20 is greater than, 10, so you can see it prints that out. And here's other things too. This is that, and bool is true. See that? If you want to do, so and means both of them have to be true. to print out. If you wanted to do or, you do 2 lines for or. So this or that. But if you want both of them true, that's and. And then switch. Use switches when you have particular values. So if the string is the USA, echo USA. If it's Canada, say Canada. And then you can create as many cases as you want. This break, gets it out of here. So it gets it out in the function so it can move on. And then the match is pretty much the same thing. Then you have loops where you have, you can loop over things. So you have for loops and while loops. So for, we're setting this variable I to 0. Go up until it's 4. You could also make it 5 if you had an equals there. Greater equals. There we go. But yes, and then it's going to increment by 1. Plus is 1, but you could do plus 2, plus whatever. But plus is 1. That's it. So it's going to echo I, and then it's going to do a break. So here we see it starts at 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. It goes to 4. Same thing. You can loop through arrays, actually. So we can go through this array. Where is it? Somewhere in here. Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3. And in here, we're looping through the array. Where did the 0 come from? Oh, it's probably because, in here we messed with it a bit. So we changed the array. And then finally, there's while loops. So while int is less than 0, or is greater than 0, we're going to echo out int, and we're going to subtract it at the end, so subtract it by 1. So that's it. So that's where we get this 20, 19, 18, that's it. So that's it. And then finally, we're going to talk about functions, which are really important, and we'll get more into. So a function just lets you do your own logic. So function, greet, you can do any kind of name. I can do whatever I want, but we're calling it greet. And then this function is going to take in, it doesn't have to take in anything, but we want it to take in a variable called name. And we're going to return hello.name, or plus the name. So if we have greet down here, it's going to say, and we pass in the name of Jim. That's the variable there. We're going to get hello, Jim. So that's the basic syntax of PHP, and it's going to be confusing, a bit, but that's it. When I first learned how to code, I learned the syntax, and then I got immediately lost. So I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen with you. We're going to move on, and we're going to go, back to more practical things, and we're going to talk about forms right now. So how we can use our PHP code to work with forms and actually, upload data to databases and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get into forms. Okay, we're going to go over forms now. Now, if you've seen the HTML series, we've gone over forms, but the issue is that they don't do anything. They don't work. We can't actually input things and do stuff with them. So here we're going to learn how to actually use forms. Now, you can see we have this basic 2 forms here. We have just one with a name input, and 2, we have a file input. And if we look at the actual PHP page, we have our PHP code up top, PHP tag right there, and HTML tag on the bottom. Now let's look at the first form. So you can see we have our form, we have our input, and then there's two things that are important with forms. The first thing is this, within the input, this name, and then the second thing is action. So action is the place that it sends the PHP code. So where does it send this data? It's going to send it to forms.php, and then the name is going to be name. This is the data it's going to send. So if we go up here to our first basic form, we're saying if we get name, if the name is set, if there is a name, see if we do a blank thing, it says hello. But if it's set, it's going to get the name, and then it's going to echo the name. So if I just do me, hello me, and you're probably wondering what this HTML, so that's how it works. It gets the name, and then it sends it to forms, and then echo hello name. But we could also, we could put the echo in here too, wherever. Now you're probably wondering what this HTML entities is, and some hacker might get like a clever idea to insert, actual code like in there. And what the HTML entities does is it removes all the other stuff, all the weird entities, so that hackers can't, hack the forms, write code in the forms, and execute them. So that's the first form. And, you use this get name. So getting name. Now if we changed it to like type in here, if we change the name to type, we'd have to change this to type too, and then this, and then yeah. So that's how it worked. But we gave it the name of name, which I understand is a little confusing. But that's how it works. We're getting this name, the name value of name, or passing it there. So now let's look at the second form. And this is the image form. So the action again is forms.php. It's going to send it here. It's going to send it here. But you can send it to other files too if you need to. The method is going to be a post. Type is this. So why do we have these methods here as opposed to here? Well, we have the get method there too. So here we had method get. So we're using the get right there. And we didn't have, whenever you're using files, you need this. You need this type, multi-type form data when you're using files. And then the method here is different. It's post. And the reason for that is because when you're just getting data, that's a different process than when you're putting it somewhere. When you're doing a post request, it's when you're working with, an actual database and you're adding data to the database. Or in this case, you're uploading a file to a file system. So you use post when you're actually adding data to stuff, not just getting it. So get request, post request. Okay, and here we have input, type file, name. This time is different. It's image. And here we have our submit thing. And down here, I added some PHP code. So, yeah. It'll give you an error message, or a succeed message. So here we have our file stuff. We're setting this move false, starting off message false. That's what's going to go. If moved is true, then it'll echo this. It'll echo the message or the error. Error is false. Upload path /uploads. It's going to upload to here. max file size. This is the max file size in megabytes here. It allows these kinds of extensions here. So starting off, it's going to sanitize the file name. It's going to change the file name. It's going to get rid of all this stuff. Just so, it makes it like an easier to name file name. And, it's a safe file. And then it's going to get, if it's a post request, which it is, post. And then if we have an image there, if we get so we gave it the name of image, right? So if we get the file, input and it's an image, then it's going to run this code here. So you can see we set the file to the file from the form. We set, some metadata here, extension here too. Now we have here, this is like error handling. So if it's an allowed extension, if it's like a JPEG or a PNG, then it's cool. Then we'll get, if it's not, we'll get this error that it's the wrong type. It can only be a PNG image. Then after that, it's going to see if it's too big. So if the file size is, if it's bigger than the file size of the max files, then it's going to say the file exceeds the maximum limit of 50 megabytes. And after that, we have our, file named here. We're going to move it. You see we have our destination here, our upload path, concatenating the upload path, uploads, with the file name. And if that works, we're going to move it to the destination. File, upload and file, move it here. And then it'll give moved true. It was moved to the file path. And then it's going to give a message that it uploaded successfully, and it'll give the name of the file, HTML entities. It'll take out like all the garbage and stuff that might make the site prone to hacking. So let's try it. You can see we uploaded it, and we can, what's it called? Let's give them the date today. Let's see. There we go. I think that's it. There we go. We uploaded the image. So that's how you work with forms, and I hope that was useful because you'll probably want to upload files. One of your sites will have file uploads in the future. So that's how you work with forms in PHP. And now we're going to do a little project that's going to be very helpful. We're going to learn about, how to do authentication, basic authentication. So when you have your site, you'll be able to log in and log out. Okay, in the final part in the series, we're going to go over how to use PHP to actually build authentication in there. And this is really useful because every site uses it. So starting off, we're going to have to work with the database. So we're going to go up here, and in your MAMP or your XAMPP, type in PHP myadmin, and it should redirect you to here. And this is where your database stuff is. So you do new, and then you're going to create a new database. You create the database. You type in the database name and create. The name of the database I created was users, because it's going to hold our users. And there's one table in here. I have the query in here. So you can go to SQL, and then you can type in the query we have, and then go to run it. But it should create this table with the users. And in here, it's going to have an ID that increments. Each user is going to have an ID. They're going to have a username that can be 45 characters long. They're going to have an email, also 45 characters long. They're going to have a password that can be up to 255 characters long. That's it. And we can go to SQL in a later section. I want to focus on PHP now. So just run that query up here, the SQL section, and it should create the table there. So once you have that, then you should be able to look at things. And I have a few files in here. I have the index.php, that's like creating your index.html folder. I have the login, I have the logout, I have the dbcon, and I have the register. So it's probably confusing, so let's just jump into things. So when you have your thing, you're going to want a register to create the users, where you're going to want to log in to log in, of course, and then you're going to want, stuff to protect. In this, we're going to use the index as the home page, and if you're not logged in, it's going to send you else. This dbcon and then the logout, there, it's just code in here. So we only need to focus on these three for now. So register, login, dbcon. So we go to don't have an account, register. We'll do, hold on. Okay, how am I going to explain this? We have three forms here, or we have one form. You're going to have a username, an email, and a password that goes off the SQL, username, email, password. And you can see we have our PHP and we have our HTML. So let's look at the HTML first, just because it's easier. So we have our form. It's going to send it to register.php, this page. You have your username, name, username, email, name, email, password, name, password. And you can actually, I made, this really simple, but yeah. But that's it. So let's look at the PHP code now. If we go up to the top, we can actually, I didn't tell you this before, but we can actually include code from one file in another file. So this require, you could also use include, but when I say require, that means it has to have this, absolutely requires this. So require ./dbcon.php. So it requires this file. So what's in this file? Well, this is how we connect to the database. Server name. So if you have, I have MAMP, and these are the default username and password. So the server name is going to be localhost wherever you are, but the username and password for the MAMP I have is root username, root password, and then the DB name we created, database name is users. See, so that's it. So we have your connection equals new MySQL. It's a SQL database, so we use this connect. Has our server name, localhost, has our username root, has our password root, and it has our DB name users. Now, if you were to deploy this in like a secure setting, you'd make this a parameter, and then you pass it in through either AWS, Heroku, even if you're just doing like basic, hosting, you'd pass it through there. But we're just learning, so this is how you do it here. So you can see, this is our connection. And if there's an error when connecting, it's gonna, kill the connection. It's gonna say that that the connection failed, and then it's gonna give us an error. But so this is our database connection, and we're requiring our database connection in the register things because we need to use it to interact with our database. So the form, we're going to submit our email, our username, email, and password. We hit register. What happens? It sends it to form. It's going to check. It's a post request because we're submitting the data. We're going to grab the username, email, and password, and we're going to hash the password. You don't store passwords in plain text. You encrypt them or you hash them. So they're hidden. So this is it hashed. And then next we're going to see if the email already exists. And database connection, prepare that we're going to run an SQL statement. This is an SQL statement. So select email from user data where email is that, and that refers to the email there. So we'll see that. So it's going to see if that email is here. And when we bind the parameters with S to that email, that makes this question mark, it makes this that. So that's what the bind does. So we're seeing if that the email is in there. And then we execute the query, and then we see the result here too. So if the result of this is greater than 0, if we find rows where this email already exists, we're going to give a message email already exists. And then if not, then we prepare this SQL statement. So we insert the username, email, password, seat values, question mark, question mark, question mark, bind params, username up here, email, password, hashed password, so we want it secure, and then we'll execute the query. We'll insert this into the data, and after it will get the message account successful. And I wanted to make this simple, so it's going to redirect us to the login page. I could have it where it gives you a session and then you're fully logged in, but I want to teach you the basics here, so we're going to focus on one thing at a time. So after this, after you create your account, it's going to move you to the login page. So let's work up here. me5 at gmail.com. Then the password will be me5123455, and we'll register the user. Not now. Okay, now that moved us to the login page. See, header login page, login.php. Okay, let's see what's going on now. Well, we want to log in, of course. Now, again, it's going to require the database connection. PHP up here, HTML down here. There's a form post. I wrote this a little different. That's pretty much, it's the same thing as doing PHP login.php. It's just going to send it to itself. It's going to send it to the same page. So you have your email, name, email, password. Type submit. And then we have your, if you don't have an account, there's a link to register. See? There we go. So once you submit everything, it's going to grab the post request, email, password. It's going to, select password from where email is, finds the email, finds the result. It fetches the password and everything like that. And then it verifies, is the password that we typed in equal to the same one in the database. And if it is, it's gonna, log in successful. And this is key, session. The session is what keeps you logged in. So that's it. So it starts a session. The email, session email is email. And then it moves you to index.php. And then it exits. If they're not equal, incorrect password. And then, there's 2 if statements. Password verify, incorrect password. If it can't find the email here, or the password in the email, it'll give you this message, email not found. So I want to show you this with the sessions. So session start, that this is the key of the session start and the session. That's what, allows you to log in. Let's try to just go to the, okay, I want to show you what would happen if we tried to access the index page really quick here. Index. It redirects us to the login because that session's not set. So let's do email. So let's do email, me5@gmail.com. me5123455, login. Not now. And then we have the home page. We can actually access that because it started in the session. And then if we click this, it'll, index redirects to logout.php. All right, let's go over this first. So session start up here. If the session is not set, then it redirects. So that's it. That's your authentication there. And then in here, if it has the logout, if we click there, we log out. And let's look at that really quick. Session start. It destroys the session and then moves you back to the login page. So that's how you do authentication. And then let's log out really quick. And that's, PHP in a nutshell. I hope that was helpful, and you pretty much have the keys to web development right now. That HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP, that's the foundation for everything. So you're free to build websites. I know you might not feel like it, but you are, and you just got to get out there and practice. So thank you for your time, and best of luck.